On a quiet day on April 20th, 1999, in a small town known as Columbine, 13 innocent kids were brutally murdered. Because of guns, there are many people killed each day, and we need to make a stop to gun violence. In order to stop gun violence, we need to have more background checks and also need to take away guns from dangerous people.
Gun Control by Ezra and Link. Do you think that video games cause violence?
Yes, I do think video games can cause violence because they could be playing M-rated games.
Do you believe that guns should be held for defense?
No, I do not believe that guns should be held for defense because the other people shouldn't have guns and they shouldn't have to use them against another person.
How do you feel about guns in our country?
I don't really like guns personally because my dad was in the military and he got shot, but it's not really my favorite thing to talk about with guns.
Have you ever been around or had a conflict with a gun?
No, I've never had a conflict with guns, but I've seen them on the news all the time.
How many people do you think have died due to guns?
I think almost a half of our country has died out of guns, but repopulation has made our country bigger.
That's good.
Some people say video games cause violence. M-rated games like GTA, Fallout, Battlefield, and Call of Duty, all of them are violent games.
How do you feel about gun violence in New Mexico?
I think it's pretty unfortunate. I think New Mexico kind of has a high crime rate and gun violence rate. So, for as small of a state as we are, I wish it was something that we could kind of figure out and come to a solution with, because it's just I feel like it's too high for the small amount of population that we have in this state.
Do you support people owning guns in their homes?
I think I support the right people owning guns in their homes. If it's done legally, and I think sometimes people get a little excessive with the guns that they have, how many guns they have. I think, sometimes self-protection and protecting a family is one thing. Going to extremes is another,
Do you think it's all right that people use guns for self-defense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think everyone has the right. It's part of our constitutional rights to be able to own a gun for self-defense, bear arms. Again, like I said, though, I think sometimes just because you're allowed that right, I don't think that should give you the right to take it to extremes.
Have you ever been around guns or had an experience with guns?
Yeah. Personally, I have. I was in the Marine Corps for 4.5 years, and I was in a combat MOS, so we were heavily trained in every kind of weapon that you could think of, and we did a lot of live fire exercises and a lot of live fire trainings, and we shot countless thousands upon thousands of rounds. As a Marine, it's just what you have to do. So we were trained in weapons like from the top to the bottom. So I felt really comfortable around weapons. I didn't come from a family. I didn't grow up around weapons per se. So I didn't come from like a family where everyone had guns or anything like that. But when I went to the Marine Corps, they train you so well that you get very comfortable with your weapon and it becomes second nature.
Do you believe video games cause violence?
I don't think video games cause violence. I don't think it's easy to pinpoint one thing, as in like music or video games or movies or TV. I don't think any one of those things single-handedly cause gun violence. I think it's a multitude of things, and I think it's the culture that someone grows up in. So I think if somebody grows up in a culture where they're left unattended, unsupervised, and they grow up around guns, I think that could have something to do with it. I think if there's a kid, if we're looking at just kids, and a kid hasn't had counseling and they have a lot of issues, and they're around a lot of guns, I think that could be problematic also. So it's a tough situation, because I think a lot of it boils down to is proper parenting and responsible gun ownership. And I don't feel like a lot of that's taking place right now, in that we have more school shootings than we've ever had in the history of this country. So something obviously is broken that needs to be fixed.
Ever since 2010, there have been more than 400 school shootings, and even more since 2001.
How do you feel about guns in New Mexico?
I feel guns in New Mexico are needed as long as you get them legally and you carry them legally, because there are laws that allow you to get them legally.
Do you believe in guns for self-defense?
I do believe guns in self-defense. I mean, if the other person has a gun and you want to defend yourself and you don't have one, you're at a disadvantage. But again, you need to know how to use them and how to protect yourself.
Do you think video games cause violence?
Yes, I do.
How would you react if you saw someone with a gun in public?
If I saw someone with a gun, depending on what they were doing, if they had it concealed or if I saw it on their belt, again, there are laws that you can carry. But if I saw them using a weapon in an aggressive manner, I would maybe react in a way. I want to make sure that they're not law enforcement or they're undercover police. But I would again make sure that the situation is not one that I could get hurt, or if I want to protect somebody, I'd sure think about it.
Have you ever had an experience with guns?
I have not. I've been to the firing range. I've shot a gun, but I have not had any experiences with a gun.
For every gun, there should be a background check. Most shootings involve false background checks. This can cause shootings that could have been stopped.
Do you own a gun in your home?
I don't own the gun, obviously, but there is a gun in my home.
Have you ever shot a gun, and how did it feel?
I actually have shot a gun before. I don't really remember because I was little, which in retrospect probably isn't the safest thing for a 6-year-old to be shooting a gun, but I was supervised with my dad there, and he's really into hunting, and so he's really good at that kind of stuff. And so is my brother. My brother's actually in the Navy, so.
Have you ever seen someone in person with a gun?
Yes, I have. My dad, my brother, and my stepdad all own guns. And growing up with my dad, my dad and my brother had a large gun collection. So I've just naturally been raised around guns.
How do you feel about guns in New Mexico?
I know a lot of people own them for like sports, like hunting. So I don't really see a problem with it. I mean, I think some people shouldn't have guns, but I also do think that most people have them just for protection and hunting. So.
Do you think video games cause violence?
I think it depends on the person and their mental state. Some people for some people, guns, they shouldn't be around guns because it's just not safe. Some people, I don't think they should play video games because they just don't have the mental capability to. But I think other people can handle it perfectly fine. So.
More people are getting arrested and more guns are being confiscated from dangerous people. This really helps.